half of our Daredevil two-parter. So, with the good news for John Bernthal, we get some sad news.
Unfortunately, very.
Deborah Ann Wall and Eldon Henson. If you didn't know who they play Karen and Foggy, respectively. They are not confirmed to be coming back. So it's unknown whether or not they're going to be recast, but it has been confirmed that they are not in the show. As of right now, I still have hope that they could change their mind and bring them back in. But as of right now, Karen and Foggy, at least as we know them from the Daredevil original Netflix series, won't be in. Which makes me really sad because that Foggy is so endearing. And Karen, at first, I was like, I don't know if I like this girl, but she really grew on me. It's because she's just so traumatized and she is so raw and real. I think that at first I was like, God, this girl just seems like a doormat. But then you realize, no, she's just been through a whole hell of a lot and she's really trying to find her way. And I think it takes till about like the second season, even the third season, where she really finds her feet, figures out who she is, and gets her voice. So I really enjoyed her portrayal of Karen, and I really enjoyed Eldon Henson, his
I always
portrayal.
just call him Foggy. I mean,
Right.
he's Foggy.
Yeah, exactly. I love that portrayal of Foggy. I think it is like so charming and so sweet, and like he's the best friend you could have, because not only is he going to be 100% supportive of you, but he's going to kick you in the ass when you're doing something wrong and tell you exactly what you're doing wrong. That's the best friend you could have. And so, for me, like, not having these two characters, but also having John Bernthal back, it makes me wonder who is going to be coming back. Are we going to get Kristen Ritter back? Like,
Right.
who else are we going to see showing up? And not only that, for these old characters that we've seen, but who else for new characters is coming in? Like, are we going to see She-Hulk in this? Who are we going to see popping up, especially if it's like one episode arcs? You could have like an episode with She-Hulk, then the next episode has Jessica Jones, and then the next episode has this person, the next episode has this person. So I have no idea. I mean, I could even kind of maybe see Moon Knight even popping up.
Hell yeah.
So I have no idea what they're going for, and that does make me a little bit hesitant, even though the John Bernthal thing did put a lot of worries for me at ease. These two not being cast brings up a whole new crop of new worries. But how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, you make a lot of great points. I mean, with the amazing news that John Bernthal is going to continue on as the Punisher, we start getting a little hopeful that, hey, maybe those Netflix series, if you're a fan of those, then you get hopeful that, hey, maybe they are part of the MCU, or maybe we're going to get a little more clarity. I mean, at this point, we got Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, we got Charlie Cox as Daredevil, we got John Bernthal as the Punisher. Who else are we missing here? I mean,
we're
I thought
missing,
there was somebody else. There's been a lot of rumors.
We're missing Elektra.
We're missing Elektra, yes. But there's been a lot of rumors about Kristen Ritter possibly returning as Jessica Jones, and she did tease Daredevil Born Again recently.
I did see that, and it made me way too excited. And like the fact that she was dyeing her hair black again, I'm like, ooh, girl, please,
and hitting the gym.
Yes, so, I'm like, ooh, girl, please.
Come on. But it does raise a lot of questions like, okay, so I do know that there are some fans out there that did not like some of the storylines that they did with Karen, or they didn't like Deborah Ann Wall's performance. And, you know, I don't necessarily understand that, but it's all subjective, so that's totally okay. That's totally fine. But I myself am very disappointed that we are not going to get those two characters, because the Trinity, if you will,
yeah, their dynamic was
are
great.
so good. I mean, it was almost like The Office.
You wanted to go drinking with them when they were like, let's go to the bar. You're like, take me with you.
Susie's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then at the very last season, the very last shot of the show, I believe, was them sitting in the bar writing on the napkin, Nelson, or what was it? Yeah, Nelson, Murdoch, and Paige.
Yeah, and you're
didn't
like,
we
oh,
all kind of want to see where that was going?
Yes.
And to hear that, you know, we've known for a little while now that Charlie Cox was coming back as Daredevil, obviously, but we were hoping that maybe we'd get to see at least a hint of where that story went, if not continue it. But there is still a chance that this report is just saying, hey, these guys are not in Daredevil Born Again. And right now, it's just an 18 episode story. This is a different Daredevil, like they've said multiple times, that this is kind of a different go at it. So it is more evidence pointing towards a soft reboot, and that this is going to be a variant of Daredevil, a variant of Punisher, very much like the Charles Xavier we got in Multiverse of Madness was not the same Charles we got in Logan or in the original X-Men movies or in Days of Future Past. It was more in line with the X-Men animated series, if anything, or maybe even just a comic book variant. And unfortunately, I do think that is going to be where they are going with Charlie Cox, where they're going with Jon Bernthal, and maybe where they're going with Karen and Foggy. Now, if this series does well, and I think it's going to, there might be a chance it gets a season 2. The fact that it's getting 18 episodes and Charlie Cox himself at least says to the public that he doesn't know why. If he's filming now, which he is, he'll soon know. But Kevin Feige knows why. And whether or not it's one long story that consists of 18 episodes and it's a slow burn, or if they're just doing individual stories all the way through, then I do think that if this show's a success, there will be a chance we get a season 2 or see Daredevil in Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty, which absolutely could lead to Karen and Foggy returning. I mean, maybe they don't show up in Daredevil Born Again, at least the first season. And then we see Daredevil show up in the Kang Dynasty, and when he goes home, Karen and Foggy are waiting at his door. And wouldn't that be just an amazing return for those characters? And all Daredevil fans across the MCU nation would just rejoice and say, hey, yeah, we didn't get him in the show, but we got him in a freaking movie. And how awesome would that be? But even if they don't recast those characters, at least we can say we got 3 great seasons of a great show, and now we have another new show that hopefully will be great, played by the same actor, luckily, because that does not happen often, as well as some other new incarnations and some new variations of these characters. I'm trying to be as optimistic as I can, but if they do really water it down, if they do just put a bunch of misplaced jokes that don't land, that bring down the tone, yeah, and then also recast my favorite characters in that show, then yeah, it's definitely not going to live up to expectations. And I could see why some people are very upset about this news. But I myself, from Speed Force Media over here, feeling optimistic still. Even though it's very sad, still holding on to the optimism.
You know, you were talking about how, it was kind of a soft reboot. And that really made me think of the fact that, if you look at Marvel, I think what they're doing with, bringing Charlie Cox back, they're listening to their fans and they're taking the things that the fans liked that they feel like they can work with and moving forward with it. And I feel like, if you're a GC fan who loves Henry Cavill, you're kind of wishing that Henry Cavill could get this Daredevil treatment. So, I mean, I think we should, as MCU fans, too, be grateful for the things that we're getting. Even if we aren't getting Karen and Foggy back, at least we're getting Charlie Cox. Because they could have just said, screw it, and just recast everyone. And that would have been very easy for them to do.
Absolutely.
And, because we were all so disappointed when, well, not all of us, but a loud voices were very sad when Henry Cavill got recast. And so I think it's at least we're getting Charlie Cox back.
Right. I mean, if we got yellow-suited Daredevil who's kind of making some jokes, which I thought wasn't really totally out of character at all in She-Hulk. I just thought he was placed into a comedic scenario where he was allowed to be more comedic, and it was kind of just placed. It was just the
tone of the show was where he was placed, yeah.
Right. So it did feel very different, especially seeing him in daylight. But some of the stuff I thought with him was funny. And I thought seeing Charlie Cox being able to be funny again, which he was funny before as well at times, was really great to see. But seeing some random no-name actor in that role honestly might have pissed me off, might have made me mad, seeing like,
and I think they know
what
that.
are they doing to Daredevil?
I think they know that at the MCU. And I think they're very well aware of that, and they know that's a delicate balance. And so they're trying to keep the balance of keeping the fans happy and being able to move forward with their story and tie up all these loose ends with the MCU, well, Marvel movies that came before the MCU, you know, because there were some that came before. They tied up the loose ends with Toby and with Andrew and tied that in very nicely. Now they're kind of, it seems like they're working on the X-Men and working on the Netflix series, going to tie that in and kind of make everything feel like tied up in a neat little bow. And I'm hoping, you know, going back to the DCU, that James Gunn is going to look at that and see, okay, we're going to tie this up in a neat little bow somehow, get this all sorted out. So I'm just going to try to keep optimistic for both. Hopefully DCU works out well, and hopefully Daredevil Born Again works out well, even if they recast these two characters, or like you said, if they brought them back in a movie, that would be epic, because then you could move forward with another season maybe after that movie, and it could be even a totally different tone. You could go back to the roots of the original Daredevil show. And I think it would be really interesting. I have no idea what they're going to do, though. We have no idea what Kevin Feige has planned.
I mean, if you had asked anybody 7 years ago, hey, do you think in the MCU we're going to get the same versions that we saw of not only Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, but Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and mention a lot of the story details from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, a movie that was seriously hated, but a show that was seriously loved like Daredevil is not going to be getting the same exact variant of Daredevil.
It honestly wouldn't make sense to me at all if they did that way, you know?
But, you know, one argument is Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't bloody, and Daredevil is. So I get that argument.
And my argument to that would be one word. Well, I guess two. Mr. Poole.
Right. But you also look at Charles Xavier. Like we said, we didn't get the exact same Charles Xavier that we saw before. We've gotten different versions of, I can't remember the other Illuminati member in Multiverse of Madness. He was a villain in Doctor Strange. I'm totally pulling a blank, but he was a variant, essentially.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. I just can't think of his
the version
name.
we got in Doctor Strange. So there's been a little bit of inconsistency on not only variants in the MCU, but which characters we see that are the same ones we've seen before and which ones are new incarnations.
Right, because in some universes, like, it seems like in almost all universes, all the Doctor Strange are Benedict Cumberbatch.
Right,
But then you look at Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is very different people.
Right, so there's still a chance we could see those variants in the Defenders saga, potentially. Would they all be played by the same actor? Probably, right?
Right, but maybe not. Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, it would be a door that could be opened during the King Dynasty if Daredevil's even a part of it.
Especially because they're in the multiverse saga, that door is already open.
They're probably going to explore every possible avenue they can with multiverse before they close that door, but who knows? Hopefully they don't hit every nail over the head too hard. And I'm okay with just getting one version of Daredevil. I'm grateful that it's Charlie Cox, and I hope they don't butcher it. And if they do, we'll be here. I'll be the first one to scream and moan and bitch from the rooftops. Believe me, I will be.
Oh, yeah, and don't worry. I'll get a microphone out before he starts so you guys can hear the
I'll get my Daredevil mask out. I'll go out in my Daredevil underwear, megaphone, the whole shebang. Throw eggs with a blindfold on. I got it all, sister.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that concludes our episode this week of the Speed Force Media Podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you are here on the YouTube channel, the YouTube side of things, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as it really does help us out. And for all of our audio-only peeps on Spotify, Samsung Podcasts, Amazon Music, or any other podcasting service like that, make sure you leave us a 5-star review and subscribe for more content, as it does help us find more listeners like you. And we will see you guys next Wednesday with even more fun news content. Thank you guys so much, and remember to iron your capes.